Hi, welcome and thank you for listening to the Fearless Adventure Podcast. My name is Veerle and I'm taking you with me on a journey. In this podcast, I will give you a glimpse into my location-independent free life. I will tell you about the challenges of online entrepreneurship as a nomad, about finding the right mindset to grow, and how you can experience real freedom in your own non-nomadic life. My name is Veerle and welcome to Fearless Adventure. Hello. Welcome back. It's been a while. And yet again, it's not because it's only a month ago, I guess. I'm sitting here in Sweden. It is exactly 2 weeks ago that I left Gran Canaria. And it feels weird because on one hand, I really miss being there. I miss cuddling with the cats and the dogs and going to the beach and talking with my friends and just being there, living the life, having the sun on my skin. Of course, that's a big part of my time there. But on the other hand, I'm happy to be here in Sweden because I get to spend time with my boyfriend. I get to work. I got to have routines, can do a little bit more inside stuff than the outdoor life that I've been having in Gran Canaria. And I get to explore a little bit here. It's nice to be here, but it's so different, and I don't think I can compare those two because it's both have such beautiful strong things that I love about it, and also being there means that I cannot be here, being here means that I cannot be there. So yeah, it's just a double feeling of being here. And it's now exactly 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago I was waiting at the airport to board, and I think it was another 30 minutes, and then I was boarding and flying back home. So yeah, it feels double to be here, but it's been an amazing time, and that is actually what I wanted to record about today. It's about my 9 months on Gran Canaria. I've done things that I didn't know I wanted to do, didn't know that I wanted to explore those paths. I met my boyfriend. There's lots of things that happened in these last 9 months. And there were also a lot of lessons that I've learned because of doing all the things that I did. And when I'm talking about all the things that I did, I went to a yoga retreat. I moved house almost every week at some point. It was a bit tiring. I recorded a podcast about that before. Things that I did, I walked the Camino. I walked a lot. I hiked a lot, actually. I completely went to meditation. I recorded meditations. I'm still working on that a little bit. I want to explore that a little bit more. I changed my business. I stopped working completely. I picked it up again. Just it's been a busy 9 months, and it's perfect. And the thing that I want to share today is the 9 lessons that I've learned while being on Gran Canaria. And I think the first lesson is something that a lot of people might struggle with, and I always thought that I didn't. The first lesson I've learned is about body confidence, and it's that you're okay the way you are. I remember the first couple of weeks that I was on the island, I was so aware of my body in a bikini. Even though I know I look fine, I was still like, ooh, but is this bottom's a bit too high, too low? Is my ass in it? It's, I know, weird topic, but yeah, it's there were all these things that I was worried about, and sometimes I didn't even want to take off my clothes and lay in my bikini. I just want to keep on my clothes, and I didn't really understand what was happening there, and that I was so self-conscious. But being on Gran Canaria, it really made me so confident about my body, and I'm so used to walking around in my bikini. I'm so used to laying around topless, to go swimming naked. All those things really changed. So I really want you to know that your body is perfect the way it is. And someone who's really good on that topic on Instagram is Danae Mercer. She is an American influencer that's married to an Italian guy. She's amazing, and I love her stories. And she always shows in her stories how influencers adjust their body to look more perfect. But in reality, you're already perfect. And she has a lot about filters and everything. It's just go check it out. I will post it in the show notes, a link to her Instagram handle. So really check it out. And I love it. I think her content has been a big part of my body confidence as well. So it is a nice thing. I really didn't realize that I struggled with this. I've never struggled with this before, but yeah, it can just find its way into your thoughts without you really knowing it. It's so weird. I was so surprised by it, but I'm so happy now that I'm so confident in my body and I don't really care if I have this love handle or not. I think it's part of my age that I'm getting a little bit wider. I'm getting a little bit more chubby, and that is totally fine. I love it. So yeah, I think my 9 months here, well, not here, there, on Gran Canaria really helped me with the struggles with body confidence that I had. The second lesson that I've learned is really about the journey that I've had there. Because it, for me, the biggest lesson was that I needed to follow my gut, even though I didn't know why. And that already started with how I came to the island. I don't know if you remember or if you heard the story before. I just in 2019, I was following the sun. I was just traveling and following the sun. So I started in Slovenia, then I went to Croatia, then I went to Malaga. And from Malaga, I found a ticket to Gran Canaria. And I just went with cheap tickets and sun. That was my two criteria to book a flight or train or bus or whatever. So I found a cheap ticket, and something changed within me because I really thought that Gran Canaria and all the Canary Islands were out of my reach. That it was too too fancy, too that it would cost too much money. I really thought it was beyond my reach. And I booked a ticket, and a couple of days later, I flew to Gran Canaria, and I loved it. I was still a bit sick because when I was in Malaga, I was sick. I had a bronchitis and a food poisoning, and I wasn't really on my best back then, but it was fine. So I took it slow. I explored the island. After a week and a half, my sister came, and we were there in Las Palmas for I think a week together. It was really nice. After that, I went to a hostel, and that hostel really changed everything. And it's this Finca La Isa, and it's where I used to volunteer because yeah, I was there for a weekend and I loved it. And the manager back then, a Dutch guy, he offered me to go along with him on the morning that I was leaving. That he could drop me off at the airport or in the city or whatever. He dropped me off, and it was so nice. And when we were driving all the way from the hostel to the airport, we got talking, and I was like, yeah, I might come back. And I think the next day I booked my ticket to go volunteer at that hostel. And I stayed there for 2 months in the beginning of 2020, and I loved it. I knew that my time on the island wasn't done yet when I left. But yeah, of course, the whole pandemic happened, so I couldn't go there that fast. But I had this inner knowing that I needed to go back. So I just followed that gut reaction that I had like, all right, I don't know why, but I need to do it. And it brought me back in August 21, and it's kept me on the island for 9 months, and it's been perfect. And even though I back then didn't really know why I needed to be here, now it feels like, all right, everything fell into its place. I needed to meet certain people, I needed to learn certain lessons, and everything makes sense. But I didn't know that when I booked my first ticket. I didn't know that when I flew back home. So my biggest lesson is really follow your gut. You never know why. So yeah, that's the big one. The third lesson that I had was that the nasty moments, the horrible moments, the lonely moments, they are part of it. It's always part of your journey. It's a love duality. You need to have the bad moments to have the good moments. And during my time when I was living in Las Palmas, I really had a hard time finding a new place. And between October and November, I moved 6 times. It's been crazy. It's been a lot. I've been in and out every couple of days, and it was a lot. And every time I was settling down somewhere, I needed to back up and go again. And it ruined my work ethos. I didn't really want to work. I had some things that I did, but I wasn't on my best behavior, and I think it kind of ruined part of my business that I used to love. And then after that, I didn't really love it anymore. So I became quiet, and I think I even ghosted Instagram a little bit at that point. And that's fine. It's all part of it because I needed to find it again. And I think those lonely moments or those sad moments, whatever, it is part of the journey because it brings you to better moments later on. So yeah, I think the me having not having a home for quite some time, it now makes sense. And the funny thing is, because I didn't have a house, I went to Tasarte where I met my boyfriend. If I would have had a place to live, I wouldn't have been there and I wouldn't have met him. So for me, that really is a sign that it's worth it. So yeah, even if you're going to shit, true shit, then still it has a reason. And remember that. The fourth lesson that I've learned is that whatever you focus on, it will happen. And I think the biggest example that I have on this one is dogs. As I was a kid, I was a bit afraid of dogs. I got bitten by a German Shepherd when I was 9. It was a shallow bite, but still, the I still remember the fear that I felt when he jumped on me and I was on the ground. I was on my roller skates, and yeah, it's just wasn't a good moment. So ever since, I've been a bit afraid of dogs, and I didn't really like dogs after that. And that was a good thing as well because I was allergic. So I keep telling myself every time for the last 30 years, 25, I don't like dogs. I'm allergic. So that was my focus. And of course, my allergy my allergy is still there even though I now love dogs, but it's it made me keep my distance from dogs. And I remember the first time when I came to Tassarte, they have 2 dogs there, and um, I just said to them, "Yeah, no, I don't really like dogs. I'm allergic, and I don't know." But I kept coming back to Tassarte. Maybe I should explain. In Tassarte, there's a guest house where I went to visit friends, and then I kept visiting them, and I've been there. I think in total of my 9 months on Tassarte, I've definitely been there for 2 months, and that is a place that I really felt at home the most on the island. But those dogs are such a big part of it, and I remember the first time I was like, "Yeah, no, I don't really like dogs. I accept them, but it's fine. I don't need to interact with them that much." But after being there a couple of times, and the dogs really remembered me and they like to cuddle with me, and I'm completely over. I changed completely. My focus now is I love dogs, and even though I'm allergic, I want to cuddle them. And that is a way better focus because now I'm like, hey, dog, what you doing? I want to cuddle you. Every time I see a dog on the street, I'm like, oh, so fluffy. I want to cuddle them. It's the same reaction I have for cats, actually, and I'm allergic to cats as well. But the funny thing is, I'm allergic to cats and dogs, and I chose to really be away from dogs because I was allergic. And with cats, I'm like, no, I don't care. I love cats. But it didn't always start like that. I used to hate cats until I was like 25, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of my ex-boyfriends had a cat, and then I finally started to love cats. And my parents got a cat when I moved out, and then I started to love cats little by little. So yeah, I think that's now 14 years ago. So yeah, it's just a focus. My focus shifted on Gran Canaria, and I'm so grateful for that. My fifth lesson that I learned on Gran Canaria is that life really happens outside, especially in the hostel where I used to volunteer and in Tassarte in the guest house where I was staying. Everything was outside except the your bedroom. So it was so nice to spend like I think 16 hours a day outside. And I am an outdoor girl, and I've always known it, but I kind of forgot about it in the last couple of years. And in my time in the Netherlands, I always lived in big cities and I loved it. I like the convenience of it. But the older I get, the more I realize that a city overwhelms me. I'm really not happy. I'm always like looking around me to see if I'm safe because I'm afraid that the traffic will hit me or whatever will happen. And I like to be in nature. And my time on Gran Canaria really something shifted within me. I need to be outside all day, every day. I need to be close to the water. I knew I loved water, but I've always been afraid of water. So what's changing here? I need to be close to nature. I need to be active. I think in the last 2 years, I really started to love hiking a lot. And on Gran Canaria, it shifted from just going for short hikes to, all right, I really want to do multiple day hikes. I've walked the Camino de Santiago de Gran Canaria, and that was amazing. And it made me crave hiking even more. So yeah, it isn't really, it's an important part of my life now. Life really happens outside. So it's nice to be locked up sometimes. And I just said it in the beginning of this episode. I love being inside a little bit more now. So I get to focus on work because that's what I've missed when I'm always outside and in a hot environment. I don't turn on my laptop because it gets overheated or it's just I cannot see the screen as good. So sometimes it's nice to be outside 24/7, and on the other hand, sometimes it's nice to be inside and be cozy. But it's about the balance. And I realized that in my time in the Netherlands, I was mostly living indoors, and then on Gran Canaria, I was mostly living outdoors. And I think now I want to have more of a balance in that. But yeah, if I ever get my own place again, it needs to have an outdoor area as well. Otherwise, I will go crazy. So yeah, that's a big realization. All right, the sixth lesson that I wrote down, and I wrote it down in Dutch, so I have to translate it for myself. That's interesting. All right, life is based on not expectations, but a little bit. We're always filling in a lot, and that's what I wanted to say with this. It's we're constantly judging people based on what we think. We are constantly expecting people to do certain things because we expect that. And if you're constantly expecting things, it might not really happen. It might not be the truth. So you will always get to the other end deceived because you thought it was going to happen a certain way and it wasn't. So you need to really let go of all the expectations and be more in the now. And I think that's like my biggest lesson ever is be more in the now. And I think that's not even a lesson that I think it's a big part of what done here, but might also be a general life lesson that's not really connected to Gran Canaria. I think a lot of people know that we need to live in the now, but it's really a difference to embrace it in your lifestyle. And I think that's what I really mean with this lesson. It's live in the now. All right. The seventh lesson is a person always waits until there's urgency. And what I mean by that is I've been on this island for such a long time, and I already knew I had a list of hikes that I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to hike the Camino at a certain point. I wanted to do certain day trips. But when I was living in the city, I wasn't doing it. And it was the same thing when I was working in the hostel. I had 2 months, and every weekend that I had off, I went on a trip, but there was also one weekend that I just stayed in the hostel. And I remember the first time that I went to the island, I thought, oh, I'm going to go to Tenerife as well because I want to explore. And I still haven't gone there, even though it's from Gran Canaria. It's a boat ride or a 30-minute plane. So it's like you're so close. And yet I've never done it because I didn't feel the urgency. In the end, I felt it, but I had other things that I wanted to do. And I think it's the same with me wanting to walk the Camino. I knew that I wanted to walk it. And I had to plan it because I knew the end was coming of my time there. I needed to do it. There was only one possibility when I could do it. So I had to do it. So people are always waiting for urgency. But is that really how you want to live your life? Because you're going to miss out if you're always waiting for urgency. So the lesson is really start doing stuff that you want to do. Don't postpone it. Don't do it because you have more possibilities later. Start doing it. Take action. Yeah, and I think that's such a big lesson of what I already knew it because it's what I've been teaching people who want to become a digital nomad. They have this dream, but they are always like, yeah, no, I'll do it later. I have time. I have time. but you have to take action because otherwise you're not getting there. So I knew this lesson already, but the funny thing is I still did it. I still have now a list of three things that I want to do on the island, and I didn't have time for that anymore in my last couple of days. But yeah, that's fine. I will probably get back to the island anyway. People have been asking me this all the time. When are you going back? I know you're going back. You love that island. You need that island. But yeah, for now, I'm not sure yet. All right, the eighth lesson is that you don't really need all that stuff. And it's funny because when I came to the island 9 months ago, I knew I was going to stay there for a while. I was going to live somewhere. So I brought a little bit more than I normally would if I travel. So I had two big bags instead of one and a half. So yeah, it became a little bit more. And then I bought some clothes, and then I bought my yoga mat and a candle and shampoo. And I don't know, I bought so much. And I really, with all the moves that I did, I started to resent all that stuff. And my sister came, I gave her some stuff. I went home for a couple of times, and I always brought home stuff. So I didn't have to bring everything back. My boyfriend took some stuff to Sweden when he left. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I needed to travel. I had a whole travel plan just for my stuff, not for myself, but for the stuff. And in the end, you don't really need it. And I really learned that lesson during the Camino. When I walked the Camino, I brought my own pillow because I am very, very attached to my pillow. I need my own pillow, otherwise I won't sleep. So I brought it on the Camino, but it was also a little bit of a burden because it didn't really fit in my bag. So I had to hang it outside, or I had to hang my food outside. So when I went for another multiple day hike, we were camping. And then I was like, yeah, but if I'm going to sleep on the ground, I'm going to be so annoyed if I have to walk with even more stuff. So I didn't bring my pillow that time. And I think I left behind a couple of other stuff as well. If I would go now for somewhere, I would definitely make sure that I didn't bring too much. But there's such a difference if you're traveling or if you're settling down somewhere, because if you're settling down, you want more than two pair of pants or three sweaters or whatever. So that's always the thing that I need to keep in count is, do I really want to settle somewhere, or do I want to travel along? And that's, yeah, that it really depends on where I'm going. But now I'm here in Sweden. I didn't take that much stuff. My boyfriend will still say that it's too much, probably. But yeah, I think everything that I have with me, I will need during my time here. But yeah. All right, the ninth lesson that I wanted to share is, it's not about the end goal. It is about the journey, about the experience. And I think I really learned this during the Camino, but I also learned it before. During the Camino, on my first day, I realized that I couldn't walk the official route because I booked an Airbnb elsewhere and there wasn't anything along the route. So I needed to walk 28 kilometers on the first day, or I needed to go off path. And within that moment, I was like, yeah, but it's not about the route that I take. It's about the journey that I'm having. And it's the same for my living situation. It's not about the house that I have. It's not about the apartment where I'm living. It's about the feeling that it gives me. And I really think I needed to learn that because I was so focused on, I need this house. I need this house. When I have a house, I can start working again. When I need a house, I have focus. When I need a house, I'm organized, because I felt so unorganized in half of my time on Gran Canaria. But I didn't get that feeling because I got a house. I got that feeling because I let go of all the expectations that I was having. So this is a couple of lessons combined, and it's not about the end goal, it's about the journey. It is multiple lessons in it. And I think it's a lesson that we have to learn for life and have to take with us. But I think the bottom line of everything that I've learned here is, choose yourself. I think you cannot, every time you take a decision and you make it because someone else influences you, or because you think someone expects something of you, it's not going to be a good choice, because it's not based on what you want. You need to choose yourself. You cannot let anyone else decide what you're going to do. If you're not choosing yourself, who else is going to be? You cannot depend on someone else to make your life richer. So make sure you do everything that you do for yourself. And I think that was everything that I needed to share about my time on Gran Canaria. Like I said, I have no clue when I will be back. I will probably go back for a week or two at some point, but I have no clue when. I think my schedule now is kind of locked in for the next 6 months. So we'll see if they're open up space to go there, or maybe I'll go there for winter a little bit. I will see. But yeah, this island really changed my mind, changed my life, and I love it. I'm so thankful for it. I can really recommend it. If you want to know more about the island itself, you can look on my Instagram. I have a guide there about the island. On my Dutch website, I have a guide about the island as well. But yeah, that doesn't matter for my English podcast, of course. All right, I think this was my episode. I have no clue when I will be back with another episode. We will see. If you liked it, let me know, and I would love to talk to you soon. Ciao. Thank you for getting along on my journey and listening to another episode of Fearless Adventure. Would you like more information on the topic of this episode? Then take a look at the show notes on fearlessbusiness.nl. Give your opinion or want to screenshot this episode on Instagram, you can find me and tag me on Instagram at Fearless. That is Veerlez. Fearless. Can't wait to hear from you and see you next time.